Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Harika. So in previous video, we have seen how to create a batch of records or a bulk amount of records by using the data from the CSV or from an Excel file, right? So in this video, I'm going to show you how we can do an updating to the existing record that we've already created. So let's say if there's a certain set of data and we have to update all of the records in just by using one activity, by just running it only once, then how can we do that? So before I actually go into the workflow, I'll show you a sample of the workflow, how it actually happens. So for which I'm going into my data service. So here you can see the name of the project is multiple types like UiPath, RPA, AA, BP, RoboCorp, and then Pega and RPA UiPath, right? So now by just executing this workflow, I'm going to update the name of the project into UiPath project into a single type. Okay. So let me run this file. And once after it gets executed, I'm going to refresh this. So I can see that the project has started execution and it has finished. So it ended. Let's come over to the data service, refresh this. So you can see all the name of the project got changed into UiPath project, which I have given over here, right? So it's quite easy, but again, we just have to understand what are the inputs and outputs, how we have to pass the input as per the required data type that it needed and everything around it, okay? So let's take a small example, and you're already familiar the entities that I'm using throughout the video. So I will be using the same entity. In this video, I'm going to show you the project name entity, and we will try to start and recreate this workflow from the beginning. Okay, so let's take a sequence and say demo update batch. Okay, we are updating the whole batch of the records in an entity. So I'm maintaining an update batch. Okay. So we all know for updating the batch, we have to take update entity query, update multiple entity records. So this is the one that I'm using. So first and the foremost, let's start understanding the input and output and the data types of the input and output for this particular activity. So if you see, we have to provide the entity type, which is common, and I want to reflect or update the changes on project names. So just select project names. Okay. Now coming to what is the input record? So I'm having my input record. If you see, it shows the list of the records to be updated for the selected entity type. So before I actually provide some data, I wanted to create some variable here. Okay, so just create some variable and give updated records. Okay, so this updated records variable here will tell me what is the data type of this. So if you say it's of type iCollection of project names, right? So I have to create an collection, iCollection of the type project names, and that has to be going as an input for my updated multiple entity records activity. Okay, so now our next step should be to create a collection of that kind and to add the values into that collection, the updated values into that collection. But before to that, let's try to concentrate on what is the input for that collection, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fetch first. I'm going to fetch all of these records, okay, which are having name of the project. So whatever the records that are having a value under name of the project, I wanted to fetch them. So for that, I'm going to create a query entity records. So from the previous videos, we have learned enough, and in every video we have used query entity record, and we have seen how it will help us to pull the values from the data service into the studio based on a query that we write in there, right? So I wanted to pull the values from project names entity, and what's the query that I have to give? So I wanted to pull name of the project field wherein it has a value. That means if it's not empty, I wanted to pull all of them. And here I will provide all projects. Okay. So I'm taking all the projects. So let's say there is a scenario where I wanted to update the name of the project for all the records that are there in the entity. Then I'm going to use this particular query entity records. Clear, right? So now what is the type of all projects? Just go and see, because I have created the variable then and there. It's an I list. Okay. I list of project names. So it's clear. And now it has a list of values, correct? So I wanted to update the name of the project for each value in the I list. So for which I will take for each. Just that we have to understand what is the input, what is the output, where we have to get the data from, and how we have to update and modify it and pass it as per the requirement. Okay, just that. It's very simple. Let's try to cut it in pieces and see how to, make the changes to the data and pass it as it aligns to the activities. Okay, so now I wanted to pass it over here. I wanted to, for each item, so let's say for each project, just for my understanding, for each project in all projects. But here I have to change this as, instead of an object, I wanted to change this into, this should be of type what? So let's see. So if you see, it's of type project names, right? So for each project name inside all project, what I'm going to do, I wanted to update it, right? So what I'm exactly taking, assign activity, just pull in and assign, and this project dot. So what exactly I wanted to change the name of the project. So name of the project to, I'm getting all the projects already, which are there in all projects. And for each project, I wanted to update that to automation anyway. So we have seen quite a similar kind of example with update entity record, but this is update multiple entity records. So we have to update all the entity records at a stretch. So it has a limitation that you can do this updation till 1000 records at a time. Okay. So in our case, I have 7 records. So I'm doing the update on 7 records at a time. But if you have multiple, you can just extend it to till 1000. And after assigning this value, what I should do? There should be a connection from here to here, right? So what is the connection? Let's talk about it. So here, the connection is the input from here and the output from here. I have to connect both of them, right? So whatever the values I'm getting from here, I should pass into a collection, right? And that collection should goes as an input here. So for which I have to add in an activity called add to collection. Add to collection. So this collection would go as an input for my next activity, which is update multiple entity records. So before adding the values into the collection, the main thing that we have to remember is initialization, right? So I was talking about initialization in all the previous videos. So if you're not sure how you can do that, I would suggest you please go and watch the data service videos right from the beginning, so that you can understand why we are doing each step and why it's necessary to understand the data types and assignment and initialization, everything, so that you can consider this as a like a piece of cake and you can apply it on your projects. So having said that, I'm going to activities, taking an assign activity. Here I'm going to initialize my collection. Okay, so collection of what is the collection of project names, right? Perfect. So we have taken the collection of project name, and also that we have already initialized the collection, right? What is the collection? Updated records. This is perfect. And this value, I have to pass it over here. So it's a collection which is updated records. And what is the item that goes in here? So every time we are doing an update and we are updating the value, right? So project is the value that goes in here. And also we have to make sure that we change this to the data type, correct data type. Okay. So perfect. We have done everything. We're adding the values into collection and we're passing it over here. So this should work. So in order to iterate whatever we have done, let's start from the beginning. So firstly, I'm querying the entities. Okay, I am taking the values from the existing data service that I've already created, which is the one project names. So I wanted to take all the projects whichever has a value under name of the project. Okay, which is not empty. I'm getting all the project names over here. And what I'm exactly doing, I'm iterating it through for each loop. For every project inside all project, I want to update the value, which is automation anywhere. Okay. After updating the value, I have to pass it into an collection. So before passing it to an collection, I have to initialize this. So to initialize, I'm using new collection of project names. And this is my name of my collection. So I'm passing and adding the values into updated records. So what value I have to add? Project. So this project consists of all the values that are there inside that particular record at a time. Okay, for that I'm updating and then I'm adding. Okay, I will show you when I'm debugging. I'll show you what is the value before updating and after updating so that it will be clear for you. And also after adding into the collection, what is the value also I'll show in the debug mode. Okay, so let me put a breakpoint so that we can get everything a clear understanding on it. So after adding the values into the collection, once everything is done, in a single stretch, I wanted to update all the records. So for that, I am passing the collection over here. Okay, I think this is clear for you. Let me debug it and make it more clear at every point. So where are we? The process has started execution. First, it's gonna query all the records. So if you see here, I'm going to show you what this project is holding. Okay. So initially, before to that, I'll show what all projects is holding. So this is all projects. Okay. It contains 7 projects, 7 records. Okay. And each record, if you see, this is the value. So if you wanted to see each record in particular, let me go this way. So this is the first record. I can show you. This is the ID value 1FCA. Let's come over here. Where is the GUID? Here. This one 48FD, right? Where is my data service? Okay, 48FD and UiPath project, and these are the values. So I'm considering this one as unique because everything seems, all other values seem same, right? So I'm showing this one. Okay, this holds the first value. In the same way, it holds all other values from the data service that is already existing. So now I'm going to change this value. The first value I'm going to change to automation anyway. So let's consider 48FD and name of the project is UiPath project. So let's do a step into. And now let's try and check what does project holds. So if you see, here 48FD, the same ID, but name of the project has changed from UiPath project to automation anyway. Perfect. So this is what I was explaining you here. I'm going to update that particular field and the values are going to get updated for the same ID against the same ID. And now the thing is, I'm going to add it into collection. So before adding into collection, what is the value inside the collection? So what is the collection name? Updated records. So it's of 0. There are no values. So let's do a step into. Now let's check what are the updated values. So if you see, the updated value got added into the collection. So let's do a continue. I'm going to take off the breakpoint because it would be the same for all records. Let me put a breakpoint here. So it will be waited for my control. So this adding into the collection happens for 7 records that are there in the all projects. Okay, so now if I do a updated records, it would be, now it's a collection of 1, right? So it would be changing to 7 now. Where is it? Here. So all the project names would be here. It contains, as of now, collection contains this whole information as automation anyway. Now it's time to update the records. So for that, I would do a step into. And now let's go and check it in the data service. Let's refresh this. So everything has changed to automation anyway. So this is how we can do updating multiple entity records. That means you can just update a batch, whole batch, maximum of 1,000 records at a time by using this particular activity. So this is how we can do. The main important crucial thing here is what's the input, what's the type of the input, how you have to pass it, and what are the prerequisites you have to make sure that it is aligned, so that it doesn't have any errors. So this is very clear explanation. I believe I make everything understand about the concept, like what's the input and output and how we have to pass it, and how you can check the values in the debug mode, how it's changing before and after. So if you like the video, do let me know in the comments, and also don't forget to like the video and do subscribe to my channel. So I'm going to talk about how we can delete the entity records, like a batch of entity records by using ID. So that's a whole new concept, I can say. It's kind of similar, but again it's kind of different because we are dealing with IDs over there. So I'm going to talk about that and give you an example, like how in this video I have narrated you through, and step-by-step explanation. So if you like the video, don't forget to subscribe so you will get the notification as soon as I upload the video. Thank you so much for watching.